Welcome to Let's Talk with Teresa, and I am so honored that I get to share this interview with you, the founder, Sarah Koeppen, with the HopeBox.org out of Atlanta, Georgia. Here is this special interview coming up next.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you about the Hope Box. Has it started yet in the United States?
Yes. The Hope Box was launched in 2014.
Okay.
So it launched 2014, now we're in 2017.
Wow.
It has launched. It's been interesting. Once it launched, the original vision we still had, but we didn't realize all these other things that became very important to take care of too.
Okay.
And so what we do is we look at abandonment in general. Okay. What is abandonment? So we are the Safe Haven chapter for the state of Georgia, but we the Hope Box take it deeper. And we say, okay, yes, safe haven is needed. Yes, safe haven is important in every single state, and the law does vary in every single state. But let's look at the deeper issue here is, what is abandonment of these infants and why is it happening? So as we began to look into that, things just start coming up, and things that surprised us, like border babies. A lot of people are very much confused on what that is, and that is a form of abandonment in the States. And that is a border baby. The legal term is a baby at a hospital free for discharge but has nowhere to go. So it's not a border baby like most people think. It's a baby being boarded at a hospital. And so
wow,
it is, right now we have one hospital in Georgia that has up to 48 just sitting there. 48, and now those can happen for different reasons. Those babies occur. Either a mom goes in and has a baby, doesn't realize she's pregnant and just leaves, or she's afraid. It can be, there's 4 reasons why DFACS won't allow you to take a child home. So that's drugs, alcohol. If you're homeless, you cannot take a child home, and if you've lost previous children. So sometimes these babies have other issues that happen and they become boarded. The problem is that we know, both of us know as mothers, I'm a mother of 5 children.
Wow.
And I know as a mom, those first seconds are vital for the brain development, for the smells. And so when they're spending that time just in a NICU, the longest we found is up to 11 months. And the shortest is a month. And so to know, and real quick, I'll give you a short story. DFACS gave me a call, which is...
okay, now what is DFACS?
DFACS is basically Child Protective Services.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So why is it called why?
It's just kind of a short, what they call it. So there is the Department of Health, and which people get confused with DFACS, the Child Protective Services. Those are 2 different entities, 2 different government entities.
Okay.
They're not the same thing.
I did not know that.
Yes.
So DHS and CPS are not the same.
No, very, very different. They do different things. Wow. Really, it was developed in around 1980. It came into place when the states developed DFACS and developed these issues. And really, they're there to be called for an emergency. They're there for the worst of the worst cases. But what's happened is they're getting called for everything. Wow. So now they're getting overloaded. So certain things we find, like in our system, statistically, 78% of our kids, our most at-risk children, are 3 and under. 78%. And when you talk to them, it's not that they're not trying. They are, but a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old can't just call 911.
Yeah.
It's harder to, catch things. And of course, they say to me, of course they're the most vulnerable, but, they're trying. So it's a system that's become almost impossible to do everything when so much is thrown at you at once. And so, yes, 78% of our kids are 3 and under. Over 50% are babies. 0 to 12 months. Over 50% in the United States.
Oh my gosh.
Are babies. And these statistics I'm talking about are surrounded with abandoned, neglect, and abused. Those are the statistics for abandoned, neglect, and abused.
Is this nationwide?
This is nationwide.
This is nationwide.
Yeah, those are national statistics there.
Wow.
And so we began to realize there's more to this abandonment thing, and so we do a lot of advocating for that. And it's been great because the state of Georgia has been really willing to work with me. They've been trying. And, they see the problem too and the need. So I don't ever want to make this about people do their jobs. It's not that. There's just so much going on. And then we fell into sex trafficking.
Okay.
We didn't even know that was a thing. That babies were being trafficked for sex. So that was something that threw us. I as a mom, that I didn't even know how to process that. And I remember sitting down with a group thinking, how does this even happen? And they were like, Sarah, just don't, like, just, it was just so heavy. But what we found is when we get a tip that a baby's being sold, and we've been able to do this, just a tip, we're able to go in and get a judge to help stop that. So
really,
we've tried in the past. The first time it happened, we called defects, we called the police, and the thing is, they can't step in until the crime has occurred. Just because I get a tip, that baby has to be sold before anybody can step in. Isn't that insane?
Can you guys believe that? Wow.
So a judge, though, can.
A judge can.
A judge can. A judge can make a decision to say, hey, we need to look further into this. Let's leave the baby where it's safe. And we're able to advocate, protect that child before the sale happens.
So, you know, from the conception of the Hope Box,
yes.
was you had one goal, I think. I mean,
yes.
you just think you were, I mean, and I
yes.
think that's what happens is if God showed us everything, we probably wouldn't even start.
Oh,
right?
I would have been totally overwhelmed.
Exactly.
Totally overwhelmed with everything. But it was a step by step, and so you can see why I see the needs for just everything and how it's happened for any type of way a mom needs a resource. And I recently, in 2017, was able to amend our safe haven law in the state of Georgia.
Wow.
It was so the Lord. I had representatives and senators say to me, Sarah, this is impossible what you did. Because we did it in a year.
Oh, come on.
It takes 2 to 4 years to change a law. We did it in a year.
Oh, come on. Jesus.
I know. Isn't
wow.
that fun? So it was neat to go. I was like, oh, great. I said, this is what the Lord says to me all the time. He thinks he's funny. He really does. He says, Sarah, you know why I love you? I'm like, why? He's like, because you're stupid enough to believe me.
You're stupid enough to believe
me. And I'm like, I know. Oh,
I love it.
And it's funny because I remember I changed the law and I was like, oh yeah, I changed the law. And then I had a representative say, you don't understand what you just did. And I didn't.
Wow.
I didn't. I was like, huh? Yeah, I'm just changing it. That's what God said to do. And he was like, no, that was impossible. And I was like, oh, that's why God says all things are possible. Because,
wow.
you know, when you're his kids, you do things.
Yeah.
And he's already done it.
That's right.
It had nothing to do with me.
Wow.
So I didn't even realize the impact. So how many times in the Bible do you think they knew?
You know, what I love what Sarah is saying right now is, you know, we're catching up to his story. He's got it all laid out, and he's just saying, do you want to come on this adventure with me? Do you want to go on a ride for your life that's going to save so many lives? I mean, we have no idea the generations affected as you save one baby. I mean, just generations.
Let me give you a story.
Okay.
This is a different look. This is a different look. I get a call from defects, and they say, Sarah, we have a baby. She's been sitting in the hospital for 5 months. She's brain dead. We can't get her placed, and she won't pass away. So what? So I go down to the hospital. Let's call her Ann. I go down to the hospital and I assess Ann, and I look at Ann, and I see this beautiful little baby named Ann. And they're like, you know, we thought she was going to pass. We took her off the ventilator. She still lived. The doctors keep thinking she's going to die anytime. She's not. And I pick up this baby and I see little reactions. She's supposed to be brain dead. Her feet move. The power of touch and love. It is so, she's moving. So I asked my husband to come down because he's a doctor. And I said, hey, honey, would you just kind of, you know, just look at Ann? So he did, and he just kind of prayed over her and cried over her. And I said, okay, she's ready to get placed. And they were like, Sarah, it's impossible. We can't place her. I said, yes, I can. So every child deserves a family. I can. So I called. We are not a placement agency, but I work with different ones. So I called one of the placement agencies. So do you have a family that would be skilled in taking care of this little baby? And we were able to get in contact with a family that had adopted 4 daughters from this organization. And she was skilled in taking care of a child like this. So they came down. And they fell in love with this child, went through all the stuff they needed to do to take Anne home. A year later, I get some information from them, and they said, you know, Sarah, we want to thank you for the opportunity to take care of this little baby. She has passed away now, but she will have sisters and parents that will never forget her. And she deserved a family. And I can tell you, it's stories like that that the Hope Box does. That people say is impossible. It's not impossible. God created her.
Wow.
And those are the things that make the difference. Those are the things that keep me going. Those are things that saying, this is why we're doing this. This is why we're fighting for the voiceless. And
was that early on in the Hope Box?
that was probably, gosh, well, that was in 2016, and she passed away in 2017.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, as I'm crying right now, and I'm sure each of you are as well, as you hear that story, that when everyone says there's no hope for not just a child, but anybody, who, no matter who it is, no matter who you're believing for right now, you cannot give up until the moment they take their last breath. You do not give up on people. Just because to God, they're all children. It doesn't matter if they're 80 years old, 90, 5, or they're 5 years old or a baby. To God, they all deserve a chance. I just love that you advocated. You were an advocate of heaven over that little girl. You know, you were not an advocate of this earth. You were an advocate of heaven for little, what you would call Anne. And you know what Anne means? I don't know if you know that, but Anne means grace.
Oh, that's so interesting.
So, how amazing is it that Anne was the grace of God, you know, in a moment where grace didn't seem to be seen over her life.
Yeah, the things that were being spoken over her.
Yeah. And
just to have life. You know, I mean, that's part of what our story is about, all of us.
Yeah.
Everybody has a story.
Everybody
has something that they're going through. But the difference is you can either believe what the world has said to you or what people have said to you. That's right. Or you can step out and say, I'm crazy enough to do the right thing.
Yes. Come on, girl.
Do the right thing. I don't care if you have someone. Do you know, I have a son who's dropped off on my doorstep at age 3. Okay? His mother knew of me. I didn't know of her. And do you know how many times people said to me, you can't, I went to the courts to take custody of him. And 1 in 5 in the state of Colorado to take sole custody of a non-blood relative. I studied the law and I found out how to do right by this boy.
Wow.
Okay? So, lots of people in that time to me said, you can't take custody of a non-blood relative. No. The right thing was God brought him to my family, and we were going to own up to the Father and him on how we acted. Our behavior was going to affect eternity.
Come on.
And so we have to get past this point of hearing, I can't, I don't know how, it's impossible. Half the battle is showing up. Show up anyhow.
Come on.
Maybe you'll fail. But the bottom, when you fail, that's a good place to start building.
Come on, girl.
Learn your lesson, keep going, and make those mistakes because you'll do better. When we launched the Hope Box in 2014, we fumbled, we made mistakes, we worked through it as we're working through this. But now, in 2017, going into 18, we're being able to see things that are not just making an impact in one state. We are here now in Texas having an international conference with all of the safe haven leaders throughout the country.
Wow.
This is amazing to unify this country in this issue. Why? Because those kids are the right thing.
Yes.
This is the United States and it's happening here.
Come on.
This is the right thing. Do it, because if the church wants to see a revival, we need to get these kids.
Yes.
God's coming after them.
Come on.
Are we going to jump on board?
Yeah. Amen. Amen.
Oh, yeah. You can see how passionate I am,
Teresa.
I'm so sorry.
No,
you get me
ever
going.
Be sorry. Just think, your passion is only a glimpse of the passion that God has for each of them.
Oh, yes.
You know, just like, who will go? Who will go?
And doesn't he ask us that all the time?
Yes, all the time.
who will go. And it's a matter of, I will go.
Yes.
And I don't have to have all the facts or understand it.
Yes.
I may not know what I'm doing. I call myself a beautiful mess all the time.
Come on.
Because it is. I'm not all, I mean, honestly, my dream was to drink my Jesus lattes and raise my children. I had no expectations of going to college or doing anything. I really did. I wanted to get married and be a grandma and a mom because that was my dream.
Yeah.
And I'm living that, right? So I'm sitting there having my Jesus lattes, and the Lord all of a sudden says, guess what? Here's the hope box. I'm like, Lord, you just gave me Noah's Ark plans.
Wow.
Like, what am I supposed to do with this? He's like, just do it, and I'll meet you. I'll prepare you. And so I laugh all the time because somebody asked me recently, they said, what would you do if God took away the hope box? I said, I would go take a nap and have a Jesus latte. And I know that sounds ridiculous because it doesn't have anything to do with me.
Come on.
I'm just stupid enough. I'm stupid. I just believe him.
What is it? Dumb enough to listen and smart enough to try it?
Yes. Yes. I'm like, okay. And it's funny, I find myself in positions. I'll be meeting with really important people. My husband laughs at me. I'll be meeting with people, and 1 minute I'm talking to a girl underneath that bridge that's hiding because she's hiding this happened. She's hiding her pregnancy, 5 months pregnant, never seen a doctor because her mom has been telling her since she was 2 to all of her family members. So she's hiding underneath this bridge, and then I'll turn around to a senator or somebody and have to, work through something out going on. And my husband will laugh, and he's like, I've never seen someone switch from this to this, like instant. And you do see, but that's the thing. It's not me.
Wow.
I just believe that we have a God
yes.
that is moving
Come
in this
on,
world.
Girl. That is
and in this
absolutely
nation.
Right. Do you know what I love about you, Sarah? And I need you to really listen here. I hear so many people talk about the call on their life, where it becomes a God. The call becomes the God. And what I love about you is you're like, hey, I'm just crazy enough to believe in this God.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's called me in this season. Whether the season is for a few short years or for the rest of my life, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because the identity has to be in Him first.
Yes. I just want to say, this is not just I'm not just wanting to air this so that you can say, oh, what a great video. There's a call to action now. And here's the call to action. Go to thehopebox.org. If there's something stirring in your heart that you heard Sarah say, do not ignore that. Yes. Go to the Father. Don't get on the phone with your friend and say, what do you think about this? Get to the Father. It says, call unto me, and I will answer you, and I will show you great and mighty things which you never knew before. But we have to call on Him. He made the first call. Now you're calling Him back, and He's going to show you. He's not going to just say hi. He's going to show you great and mighty things. So thank you so much for appearing on my show, Sarah. This is just a little gift.
And it says bold inspiration.
Yes, revealing God's goodness.
Aww.
Great.
Yes.
Well, thank you all again for joining us on Let's Talk with Teresa Ann. Remember, this show is about bold inspiration, revealing God's goodness. Thank you again for joining Sarah and I on this special episode. For more information, go to thehopebox.org. Thank you also for liking, sharing, and subscribing to my YouTube channel.